There's a statistic that says of all the podcasts ever started in the world, 90% of them will fail past episode 3. So only 10% will ever make it past episode 3. I have just filmed my 11th podcast episode with a guest that will be released within the next couple days. And I'm not saying that, as like oh, look at me or make me feel good, because I've been doing this podcasting thing on the side for about a year now. And that means that I've done a little less than one episode a month for the past year. Not that impressive. But I say that just because it is an interesting statistic that shows a lot of people cannot stay consistent after saying they're going to start something. And I want to make this a video about the lessons learned from the guests that I've had on and from podcasting after a year. If we go back to where I was a year ago, I honestly didn't have an end goal in mind when I started this channel or the podcast. And to be honest with you, I don't have an end goal in mind exactly right now. And I can't tell you this is where I want it to be, which is probably not a good idea. But at the same, on the other hand, the whole point for this podcast was to follow my curiosity and to, follow my passions of meeting with awesome people, understanding their stories and what they've done to become successful in their fields. And that's really why I've kept going, because if I didn't enjoy it, if it was a drag to me, which it's not the easiest thing to do in the world to run a podcast or to have guests on and talk to them, put yourself out there. But if I didn't love it, I wouldn't continue to do it. This has strictly been a passion project. And I like that saying because this isn't my main thing. This is barely even a side hustle, if you'd consider it that. But I have not made $1 off of doing this. But I have been able to meet some extraordinary people. And it's a good excuse to talk to people and understand who they are, give them a platform to share their story. And I've been doing this, like I've said, to follow my curiosity, my passion for understanding people and how they've excelled in business or life, whatever it might be. And I do it for the love of the game, for no other reason, because this does not give me any other returns. If you were to ask me, what my biggest life goals are at the moment, I think it's shifted over the years, but right now it boils down to wanting to be around exceptional people and then helping other people tap into their potential and grow. And I've realized that there's really nothing else that I want to do in life that would bring me a lot more joy than that. I've never been a huge car guy. The stuff is cool and things can give you emotions, but I love people. I love helping people, speaking to people, and helping them get better. So I think that's why this podcast platform has been a little easier for me to continue. It still takes a lot of work and discipline. You have to coordinate all the time. And again, I'm doing that around a busy schedule. But all that to say, that's why I've enjoyed this podcast. And that's why I want to continue to grow this and be more consistent at it. So I want to talk a little bit about the key takeaways from a lot of the amazing people I've been able to interview up to this point. And from the past year, I've grown a lot and I've really shifted my focus from what matters to me in a podcast guest that I bring on. Because at the time, it's like if you were making 6 figures, you had a halo above your head. And I thought, yes, I want to, interview you because that's what makes you important. And although a lot of the guests I've had on do very well financially, I love seeing people that are passionate about what they do and they have a real love for it and a love for helping other people learn and grow in that field as well. So a few things I want to touch on. Every single one of the guests that I've had on, they've had a lot of common traits. There's been a lot of common denominators to, them talking about the equation of how they probably went from nothing or went to someone out of shape to someone that had no money to buy clothes to where they are now. And a lot of them do very well for themselves and they're growing and they're young hustlers. And that's why I've really enjoyed talking with them and finding out, tapping into their mindset and what drives them. And a couple of things that come to mind is they are just all in on their craft and you cannot persuade them to jump ship and go to something else. They are all in and they have committed to the thing that they are doing. Another aspect of the successful traits that I see is that they are relentless. And none of them have been anyone to sit back and, think about what they're going to do. They just act. And I've learned that even in scheduling some of these podcasts, I'll message someone and say, hey, I'd love to have you on the podcast. When can you do it? And a couple of them have said, how about today? How about tomorrow? And I'm thinking, whoa, they just want to get it done. They just want to accomplish and keep moving. And all of them respect time and know that time is money. So they move fast and they make mistakes fast. All of them have talked about losing money, making a lot of mistakes, and then learning from that and getting the valuable lessons from mistakes. And speaking of mistakes, every guest that I've interviewed has talked about taking risks in their own life, because oftentimes we'll be faced with a decision, we'll have this opportunity, but you only have, say, 70% of the information you need to feel good about it. You'll never have 100% of the information before before taking action and having this life-changing opportunity. Because if you had all of the information, it wouldn't be betting on yourself. It wouldn't be taking a calculated risk. You would just be going down a path that you can see that's clearly lit up for you. And those usually don't give the best returns. And these have been huge lessons that I've had to keep in mind. These are things that I've been taught from the guests that I've interviewed. And like I said, it's all for the love of the game and tapping into what drives these people. Why have these people become successful in what they've accomplished? And those are common themes. And of course, you've probably heard that in everyone else that's ever made it to some level of success and anyone that you could look up to. But I will say those things are huge. And that's a very common thread with all of the folks that I've talked to and had podcast episodes with. So if you haven't seen some of them, go back and, do me a favor, do yourself a favor and click on maybe some of them that seem interesting to you, because all of them have been very enlightening and I've learned a lot from them. Now, look, this video that you're watching right now is not scripted. And that's just a side note. I hope when you're watching my content, when you listen to these videos, whatever, I really want it to feel more like a conversation between you and I never want it to be like this flashy, like I'm just trying to grab your attention. It's scripted. I'm reading off of notes. A lot of it's off the cuff, and I hope you feel that. I hope you feel it's more authentic that way. Now, let me share with you a lesson that I've learned from podcasting. I know we barely touched on some of the things I've learned from the guest, but I think this is an important thing that I've personally learned. And like I said, when I first started the podcast, I just wanted to find people that drove really cool cars, made a lot of money, they're in really good shape, and I wanted to hear from them. I just wanted to talk to them, and that's still cool. And to those, the people I've interviewed, I love all of them. I'm grateful for their time, and a lot of them are really good friends of mine now. But my perspective has changed, and I've learned that if you are chasing money, if you're chasing the power or any kind of success that you think you want, that's not actually what you want. And you might be scratching your head right now and thinking, what are you talking about? That's what your channel is all about, because a lot of my videos are about how to become a millionaire, how to get in good shape. And all of these are important. I hope that you know that. All of this is crucial. I hope that all of you will hustle and work really hard to make these things happen in your lives. But I have learned, talking to some of the most successful people that I've ever come in contact with, they don't find the joy in the stuff. And I think I've said this before, but the real joy and the real fulfillment is not in the things themselves, but it's in getting those things. And really, you've heard it said before that it's about the journey and not the destination. And that's the point I'm trying to make, because I've spent a lot of my teens and 20s just feeling so behind. And I've told a lot of my friends this, a lot of my high achieving friends, I've said, I just feel so behind. I feel so antsy. Like everyone else on the internet, it seems like they're millionaires and it seems like they have everything that I've ever wanted. But that's so shallow minded. And I've really learned firsthand, being face to face with people and, even some of the conversations outside of podcasting, that these people are never as fulfilled as you might think just from having things or just from having millions of dollars in their bank account. That's not where the happiness comes from. So this might be a lesson that I would be telling to myself. And if you can find value out of this, I hope that you do. And I hope that you take this to heart, because everyone seems like they're ultra successful online, and that's what you see. That's what you're fed online. One, a lot of it's fake, but two, that's not even what matters. And people will like to flex and show you what they've done. And again, some of it's not real, some of it might be, but at the end of the day, it's really about your journey. And I can tell you that it's sucked a lot of the happiness that I maybe could have felt along the way, because I just compare myself to this person or that person and think, why don't I have $1 million yet? Or why don't I have this car yet or that? And I've really had to let go of that and see the bigger picture. And in my conversations with the guests that I've had on for the podcast, I've just seen that these people are happy chasing and they're happy in the hunt. It's not about the final destination or getting to that peak, because that will probably never come. And whether your goal is to have $1,000 or to earn $100,000 in a year or $1 million in a year, you'll never get to that point where you say, this is finally enough, because it'll always move. Your perspective always changes. What you used to think was rich probably isn't rich anymore. What you used to think was cool probably isn't. So my whole idea here that I'm trying to get across, the whole point I'm trying to make, is that you are running your own race. And as hard as that might sound to just say, yeah, let me just be happy in trying to get to my goals, that's really where the enjoyment comes from. It never is having the thing. It's in getting that thing and becoming. Really, it's more about becoming and shifting into the person that you should be. So whether that's being a better son, a better daughter, a better husband, or a better father, it's in becoming the better that is really where you find the fulfillment, where you push yourself, you challenge yourself, you experience discipline, and you get to that point. It's never in being or having. It's just in the process. That's where you find the most fulfillment. And we're made to, we're made by nature, I think, by our human nature. We want to be out on the hunt. We want to be doing things that bring us joy and that challenge us, that stretch us. This idea that I'm talking about really came to life recently when I was face to face with someone that I'm podcasting, someone I've looked up to for, probably over a year now. And I'm looking at him and I asked him the question, you've made enough money to where you don't have to work another day in your life. Like, why do you still show up? Why do you still go to work? And he said, well, I could go to the gym for a couple hours a day. I could travel more, but there's only so much traveling you can do. So what else is there to do? What else would I do in retirement? And it hit me like, oh, wait, I thought I was chasing the financial freedom. I thought I was chasing millions of dollars so that I could just set myself up to, I don't know. But at the end of the day, what's most important is the contribution you can make to other people. And again, it's the hunt. It's not about just having the stuff. So I saw in that moment when I was doing that podcast that all the times I've stressed myself out, like I need to save more, I need to make this amount of money, and I need to get there fast. I thought to myself, this is a manufactured timeline. Like, this is just a fake timeline that I've put on myself. And oftentimes when you're in your teens and your 20s, we have this timeline for ourselves. Like, I want to be a millionaire by this age. I need to buy this car and I need to do this, but it's just made up. And you're never going to be happier if you hit that, in my opinion. It's just another way to move the goalpost. Because if you do hit that, you're going to want another goal to achieve. And again, it's about the process of getting there. It's never about just the stuff itself. So again, I'm just yapping, but if I could leave you with an important lesson that I've learned, it is that. And that does not undermine any of the people that I've interviewed, or it does not mean don't go after making more money this year. It does not mean, don't try your hardest, because you should do that. And having money does solve the money problems. Being in good shape, it should just be a priority in anybody's life. All of that important. But do not make money the main goal. Do not make having the car or the thing the main goal. Because really, the main thing is to become better, to be on that journey and expand yourself and be able to help other people, take other people along the way. That's the most noble thing that you could be doing. So again, thanks for listening to this. I know we covered a variety of topics, but I appreciate you all. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the podcast. If you do, again, like I was saying in the beginning, although, I could say, make a cake and say, I'm glad I'm in the top 5% of podcasts in the world or whatever. This is nowhere near where I want it to be. And I just hope that I can continue to add value to you guys. You guys can learn from this. And I hope that people can grow and expand and then look back and say, yeah, that kid on YouTube or on the internet helped me get there. So I appreciate it. You guys have a good one, and I will see you next time.